Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on, everybody? This is Dan French. This is a French Workbench podcast here on a Saturday, and I got a full cast here. Familiar faces. This channel is the most real behind the scenes regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs through on-job experience here in Las Vegas. We want to thank everybody out there for tuning in. We got a full show today. We're going to talk a lot about what's happening with investors. Many buyers are having homes snatched up by investors, and if you look at the second quarter, investors snatched up a large amount of homes for renters. And, so you're still in the market. If you're a buyer out there looking to potentially buy a home, your opportunities are still there because a lot of people are still willing to come in over list. But with this, all these buyers or all these investors buying these investment properties, it's something to look at. And we were going to talk about that today. Go ahead, Brett.
With that being said, not just some buyers, some investors have stepped in. How many in this past quarter?
Right. So we're going to talk
like 2,000.
Right. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that today. Also, we're going to talk about the eviction moratorium of what's happening. What's going on with that. Also, we're going to talk about what's happening in Las Vegas, and is now the right time to buy, or are we back in a normal market? Because a lot of the numbers we're seeing out there is that Las Vegas is starting to open up. I disagree. We're going to talk to Matt about really about an update that's going on in the housing market. So, Matt, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good morning. I am well, thank you. Very good.
Nice to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Lovely to be here.
Yes, I'm glad to have you, man. You showed up with your cowboy hat on, with your glasses.
Exactly.
You were just ready.
You know what I love about you, Matt? You always show up with your British accent.
No. The thing is, I'm from England originally, but I'm trying to be a little bit more American each time. And then
put on that damn cowboy hat.
The standard, son. Put on that
cowboy hat and play some baseball.
I was in the Tractor Supply store, and I was getting some rabbit food for my bunnies. And then I saw this hat, and I had to get it. It was $25.
Oh, look at you!
Look at that.
Did you have that hat so you can? Is that something you wore to that the hoedown?
No, I didn't wear it.
Dude,
you look like Clint Eastwood's grandson right here,
Get this
sir.
guy some apple pie in a baseball game.
You know what? I'm all about the apple pie.
So what happened to you yesterday, man? You were out. You were getting a smoothie or something, right? You said. And what was going on?
Well, what happened was, I'll take these off. I'm not Tom Cruise.
Right.
So what happened was, I had a good week, took a couple listings, and then didn't have my children, and a client said, do you want to go to the topless beach at Mandalay Bay?
Oh,
Friday?
wow.
Yeah, the European beach, the bathing pool.
Yeah.
Who said that?
A client. And then so in
And
Vegas.
whose children?
No,
You said something about children. I thought.
I know. So anyway, so what happened was, we had this free bed, and normally you have to pay like $500 or $1,000 for it, and we just gave him like $50 because he's his friend.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I've never witnessed such a debaucherous spectacle in my entire life. It was almost unsavory.
Why? Really?
Unsavory.
Unsavory.
That's not very American. Americans don't talk that proper. All right. Savage. That's American.
And the other thing as well is that I don't drink anymore, and so I remember everything.
I remember everything in vivid detail.
So that was interesting.
That was interesting. Is that the first time you ever went, or was part of? Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's not really my scene,
Yeah, but you got to experience it.
Yeah, man, it's not really your scene.
I do.
Sounds like it.
I observe the dirty work, so you don't have to.
Oh. Well, thanks for
Direct message me with any questions you may have.
I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of those questions, right?
I'm just gonna leave that one alone. Things that popped up in my head.
Right. So we also got Brett Jenny. Brett, what's going on, man? What's going on in your world, buddy?
Oh man, just
like that, huh? It's just
a little bit of everything, man. It was a crazy July. Had just gone back home and blah blah blah, and just trying to get back in the swing of things, and the market keeps on going off like crazy. So,
Yeah.
Fighting for my buyers, and then you get those accepted and make sure everything goes smooth and
Yeah.
keep on top of everything trying to come in, and, good times.
Good times, huh?
Yeah, that's what I do.
And we got Mr. Joe
Hopefully.
Dragon. What's up, buddy? How are you? You were here on Tuesday. Thanks for coming in again, man. You're somebody that's always reliable. I love that.
Call me an old steed,
Yeah, that's
super
right, man.
reliable.
What's going on with you, buddy?
Oh, ups, downs, in betweens. Still got a 2-month-old, so
2-month-old.
Yeah.
You're
Long
dealing with
work.
that, huh?
requirements, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Work is like a
know.
secondary thought right now.
I
With
know.
It's like all mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know when's day, when's night.
It's tough.
Right? No, that's the thing about being
Everybody's
an
crying.
I know.
Well, that's the thing about being an adult. It's not about what month it is. It's what do I have to
I
get
know.
done.
Exactly. Wonder what
It's a lot of
happened.
work. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Wake
I've
up
had
one
3
day,
young
how-
children.
You have 3?
No, I have. I've gone through.
You've had
that.
3.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
2.
lot. It's a lot of work.
What do you mean you've had 3?
Yeah.
So you don't have them anymore?
No, he has 2.
I have 2 now, but I had
But one
3.
passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
sorry.
Just had to keep on pressing,
It's a
didn't you?
lot- it's
I'm
a-
just kidding.
It's a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of
it's
work.
It's a
a
lot
ton
of
of work.
work. It's a lot of work.
So, guys, we got a lot of information going on in Las Vegas. I want to talk about a couple things. One is mask mandatory was happening now in yesterday
As we sit inside.
as we sit inside, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is hey, you know what's weird is you walk in and people are like, hey, you need a
Yeah.
mask. And
Well-
I think a lot of people are starting to object because I feel that, they were wearing them and now they don't have to wear them.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with that?
Well, I was at I was in a casino yesterday, and so I've heard a couple things. They're gonna there's a lot of pushback against the masks again, and like in the casinos you have to wear them again, but it's not as strict as it was before yet. But I think there's going to be a transitional period.
Yeah.
And this morning I didn't have a mask when I went to Starbucks, and they said the way they asked me, would you like a mask?
Yeah.
Because they're like more like tacit acceptance of it happening rather than forcing it.
Sure.
But I think
Yeah.
that's going to change.
What,
and
to
people-
force or to...
No, it's going to get over the next week. It's probably going to switch around.
Well,
a
they're
bit.
like the only city that is doing this. Well,
Yeah.
actually, New Orleans, I think, just did
But
it
the
again
thing is,
yesterday.
here's the thing. I heard a rumor.
Or state.
I heard a rumor, and it wouldn't surprise me, right? That this is the precursor. I heard a rumor that it's all but pretty much a done deal that there may be another lockdown in like the 2nd or 3rd week of August.
Yeah.
Because this is the precursor
Of
to
what?
it, of having another like shutdown.
Well, do you think it's going to get to that level? That was my question is, do you think Las Vegas will shut down again? Not in the sense
It's going
of...
to be a bloodbath if it does.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't think it's going to completely, right?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know, but like it's all tied into like pushing more vaccines and making you get the vaccines to go back to work and have everything open.
Yeah. They're pushing to actually give incentive to
Well, they
have
already
people.
are.
Yeah, $100. They're talking about
To what,
paying-
get a vaccine?
Hasn't passed it. Yeah, to go get a vaccine. So they're saying if you go get a vaccine, you're going to get $100.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it hasn't passed yet.
What do you
Like,
think would happen if they did a federal mandate? You got to get it.
I don't think it's illegal.
See, it's not. It's not.
It's not.
They had that exact case from the Supreme Court in 1905 of all. I didn't even know they had vaccines. in
Yeah,
1905.
yeah, they did. It's been a
Apparently
long
they
time.
did. And there was a case in, I think it was Massachusetts. Some guy didn't want to get a mandated vaccines or some pandemic. Goes all the way to the Supreme Court and says no. Because the burden of you getting one so less compared to the...
But I read something about when they were going through the rules of when they did the Nuremberg trials for World War II, that one of the rules out there is that you can't mandatory, make somebody take a vaccine or something that they
So-
don't want. Like it goes against
but
crimes
it's
against
also-
humanity.
There's something else, right?
Yeah,
Is
but that's
that-
But that's
national.
that
but-
supersedes
that's-
the
but there's
United
also
States.
you can't. You
no,
can,
not really. Unless you have a
The
treaty. with
world
some-
doesn't.
No.
Well, the thing is with the
Nothing
vaccines
really. I
is
mean, it's all a bunch of...
you
Yeah.
can die or
No,
get-
you're right. I mean, you're the attorney. You
can-
tell me.
you can die or get injured from all vaccines. It's possible. So you can't force someone to take something when it's possible that you could die or get injured, and that's known as a federally known as a.
I agree
hostile
with you,
outcome.
but
No, but you can't
I
legally
disagree.
force
I think the
one.
government can do anything they want to do if they want to.
I'm just
And
saying
that's-
the
that's
legal,
end of
No,
the
story.
legal
and-
precedent,
I'm not saying it's right or
Yeah,
wrong.
legal
which is what you
precedent.
cite to when you're
Yeah,
arguing
yeah.
this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
says you can't.
Yeah.
Now that could always arguably be overturned. So
Yeah.
but I don't think it's going to go there because I think, I mean, there's what you can. do on paper and what you can do in reality,
really know,
and people
but
would just freak out if you
I
actually
wouldn't
try
be
to do that.
surprised if, like, the new mask date is the mandate is the thin end of another wedge that's coming. Like, but that's the thin end of the wedge, and the other part of the wedge could be other like things that are gonna come. You know, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and
people
you know,
are tired.
Zion, you know that park,
Yeah.
national park. They had people that were driving the shuttles. I just was reading this that they were getting so many complaints, and people were arguing with them about wearing masks.
Oh, Utah's different.
Well,
Utah's
they
Utah's very. I've got a story
Utah's
about
very
that.
different.
I've got a story about that.
Utah's very different. They are very more like mostly like God driven, like natural.
Sure.
And they don't adhere to the media.
Arizona.
They've got their own like community.
So last, I think it was January. I think everything was still up, right? Max mandate, all that stuff. Driving to Salt Lake to do to go skiing for the weekend, and that 15 cuts through the northern and western corner of Arizona. Stopped to get gas, and I'm in this gas station. Everybody's got masks on and whatnot, and this like older lady, like 60, a little heavy set. I noticed doesn't have a mask on, which then was like, oh. Right,
She's
and then
the devil.
She starts talking to me because I'm like, I'm going to Salt Lake. She's like, oh, you can't make it. The road's closed. You can go ski at this county, somewhere else, or whatever. But this county has a mask mandate in Utah. This one doesn't. She knew all the counties.
Wow,
with
literally
all
by the
masks.
counties.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing? Just sitting, like researching all these counties. People get religious
people are
about this
upset.
stuff.
Yeah.
More on like a kind of.
I'm just trying to pay my bills and get ahead in life. So I mean, if people have time to dedicate, hey, you want me to put my mask on? No problem. I'm just trying to go about my business. And
Yeah, I think some people take it personal, or they don't. They just don't want to be told what to do.
no,
then
listen.
it goes
Believe
back
me,
and
dude.
forth,
I'm the biggest
here's
person
the
in the
thing.
world that hates
Here's
that.
the
So I
thing.
get it, but
Here's
still.
the thing. What happened last time? If there was so I thought, well, what if there is that we have this mask mandate, and what if it is the thin end of a wedge, and there's going to be a bit more coming down the line attached to the Delta variant, which is like the Delta variant. It's new, it's different, and then you need another booster or vaccine for this particular variant.
Yeah.
So that's what their trajectory is going to be. But in terms of the real estate housing market, I think that it's probably going to make prices go up.
Why?
Because it's going to jam the system up again, and there's going to be even less supply.
Well, it got jammed up because people backed off originally because they're all panicked with this.
Right,
the heck
but
was
what I'm
going on.
saying is that I just think that it's probably going to jam. It's going to jam the system. It's going to slow
Unless
the
they
turnover
don't-
of transactions.
But if they don't,
Well, I guess a better
Right.
way of looking at it
Or
would
maybe
be
we're
what would
ready.
be different this time.
Maybe we're used
Then
to
was
it. We're ready, and it
different from the first time.
because the first time
It was
this
all
whole
new.
thing was new. It was
Yeah.
a new big concept. Herod's not. It's like
Not
you
new.
have.
We've already got different systems, I guess, and procedures. So, but I thought about it like, so what if there's another lockdown? What if there is one for a little bit, right? How would that affect the real estate market? I think it would make it a bit harder to do deals.
To buy or sell.
Both. A little bit. It's going to be
I don't
But
think
it's
it
all
would be.
contingent because remember, it's all contingent on getting another
people's behavior.
or a stimulus bill again.
Yeah.
and
I
the
know.
stimulus bill is all contingent on
That's a good point.
how you keep doing this, and I guarantee you we're going to go off an inflationary cliff. Now I think the Fed will stop it beforehand,
Yeah.
and when they do, guess what? There's not going to be more lockdowns.
Yeah.
That was only possible because inflation
stimulus.
was so low at the time, and they could pump that stimulus in to keep the economy going.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we've seen inflation increasing. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
People are saying that inflation's a problem, or gas is going higher, cost of goods is going higher. So we're seeing that really come to fruition. Now, talking about the vaccine and things like that, we're not going to go in too much depth, but a lot of these employers are saying or hoping that you get the vaccine or mandating that you get the vaccine. And they're talking about a lot of people in office and things like that need to get the vaccine if they want to report to work. What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to be a problem, or do you think people are going to just conform to that?
I don't think they're not going to conform.
I don't think that. I think it's like it. I mean, it could be like discriminatory or illegal. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, everyone's going to do what they're going to do.
I think
And-
most
and
people
some
right now are fighting to work remote.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
a whole workforce of like 40% that say we don't want to go back, period.
That's a good
and
point.
I think
So
that
they're
things have
breaking
been
more.
adjusted to that I think there would be an option if a company's smart, because if you're going to start firing people like that,
So here's another.
you guys
thought.
will be lined up.
Here's another thought I had.
Well,
I
you know,
mean,
make it
there's,
go.
there's money to be made, dude. I don't blame. I mean,
Yeah.
because those are rights you could say being taken away.
Right.
What rights?
being fired for not getting for not being vaccinated. I'm not saying right or wrong, but that's a case one could make, I'm assuming, in court.
Yeah, that's a better argument. That's a better argument than a mandate, right? Because workers' rights, you have a right to your privacy, your right to your personal life over working. That said, I mean, you can get fired for saying something on social media. I mean, it's a kind of a gray area as far as...
It's something that could be argued.
I mean, it'd definitely be argued and definitely not want to deal with a loss. That's probably why they're not...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is that's why like people that I keep on seeing on Twitter are like, don't quit. Let them fire you.
And it depends which state you in. Nevada,
let them fire you.
Right to work, right to fire. So really,
the only like, you looked at me wrong. You're fired. Legit.
Yeah, they can do that. The only thing you can't do is obviously say like be racist, like you know, like oh you're black, you're fired, or you're white, you're fired.
Yeah.
Oh, good luck with that.
You can't break civil rights.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Matt, what were you going to say, Matt, on that topic?
I was going to say that like I thought this thought through, the one about like what if there is another lockdown or quarantine, and then what was I going to say?
You were just
my other thought was, okay, the rental moratorium's over, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
No, but that's going to cause some discombobulation with people.
Ooh,
They're going to get kicked out.
That is, isn't it? Like plethora.
Sounds smart. I try to use that a lot.
Me too. Makes me sound smart.
No, but the thing is,
sorry.
Then the thing is, we're going to have all this ripple effect across the country, and then if we have another lockdown, then the government can be seen to step in and say, oh, we're stopping this because there's another lockdown.
Right.
So they don't have to do another stay on the eviction moratorium. Instead, they could start something new and kick the can again, and then Biden looks good.
Gotcha.
You know?
I'm sorry, I was talking about plethora.
Oh, no, it's all right. But that was just a thought.
It's a good word, man.
That's just a thought because that would make
Harvard
sense.
word.
You know?
Yeah, that would make sense. So let's talk
let's
talk about the eviction moratorium, okay?
Yeah.
We obviously see that it's not been extended for renters. This is for renters out there that are looking to maybe have that push down the can, kick down the road, as you say, where they don't have to pay their rents. Now, the eviction moratorium has not been extended. Now, the foreclosure moratorium, FHA has extended it to September 31st. So they extended it. What does banks want to do? They don't want to foreclose. They don't even want to start the process to foreclose. Why? Because they don't want to take...
Who's foreclosing?
They don't need to.
Well, they don't need
so much
to.
equity.
Exactly.
We're talking about eviction of tenants.
We're talking about both. So the eviction, the renters are not going to be evicted starting, or they're going to be evicted if they're not paying their rents or they're not caught up on their rents after today. Today's the last day. So if you think that you're going to have that, like I said, that kick down the road, the can kick down the road, that's going to be a problem. Now, for homeowners that have loans and have mortgages, FHA's come out and said they're going to support and help you.
Yes.
Now, also, I think that's going to follow suit with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, anybody that's got a loan, because banks don't really want to foreclose. What do you think is going to happen with the eviction moratorium? Is it really going to open up opportunity here in Vegas? Because I think a lot of people... Go ahead, Brett. Go ahead. You're raising your hand.
May I ask a question, teacher?
Go ahead.
So, I think we kind of already answered that when we opened up the show, which is there's over 2,000 investors that were in this last quarter.
No. Investors bought over 3,000 homes.
Sorry, they bought over 3,000 homes, right?
Right.
In this last quarter. So, if more available inventory comes on the market, they're going to...
Well, let's talk about the eviction part of it, though. So I'm sure we have a lot of people that...
There's 10 times as buyers for every...
Right. Is it going to open up more opportunities, I guess? And what do you think is going to be the outcome here in Las Vegas with all these people now not having the ability to keep extending and not paying rent? Like, what are your thoughts?
Get out quick because I've encountered like going to listings that have tenants. The tenants cause a lot of problems, and that like the landlords that have been hurt with like not receiving mortgage payment if they're leveraged. Like a lot of them just want to peace out right now and take their money. So
I feel real bad for owners of properties that are renting. It's terrible.
Right? It is a risk they took. It was part of the deal. But like when you become a landlord, there's always risk. But at the same time, that was extraordinary event.
But a force by nature. Is
no,
like
forced by government.
Yeah, well, that's what. Well, I know, that's essentially
maybe
the category of it.
Dan, I missed it. You said, so what? Biden did that recently?
So no. So Biden tried to extend it, and they went through legislation, and they didn't pass it. Right? They said it's not going to happen.
I missed that.
Right on the eviction for renters part.
I got a lot to say about this.
I think I hope we may have a bit more choice for like FHA buyers.
Right.
And like price points under like 350. I would hope a bit more would come on, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I've got a client that I got. I started representing, I think, in December of last year. She bought a house not through escrow, kind of a quick claim deal. Kind of got kind of screwed over. Representing her on the transaction, and she's had a tenant in there. I think she got one in like December of 19.
Okay.
And hasn't paid rent since.
Wow.
Whoa.
Now,
the tenant hasn't paid any rent? Or just not since...
Maybe one, but hasn't paid anything since. So, meanwhile, I think she paid $225 for the house. The house is praising like $380 right now, something like that. So I'm like, look, because we can beat this case down, right? You can get titled. You're going to be out some money with the rent, but I could probably...
So she doesn't have a clear title right now?
No, that's what I'm doing for her.
Yeah.
And she's like, look, I don't want to beat this case down. All I want to do is get clear title as soon as possible, and I don't want to rent, and I'm done with investing in rent, because that's the effect it had on people that would try.
She got bashed.
Yeah, right. So now that you're saying, how is this going to affect the housing price?
Did she pay cash for the house?
She did pay cash.
Okay. Yeah, I think you'd have to.
She couldn't get a loan.
You can't get a loan on something that doesn't have clear title.
It's a whole like I know what's going on.
Chain of
she should be good title, but when that happens, you got all parties fighting. Cost you a lot of attorney fees. That's why you go through escrow and get title insurance. But anyhow, my point was, we were talking about the spike in housing consumption, right? In the last 3 months, we've been talking about on this show, and we said mainly because people come from California, mainly because the economy started to take off again. You're adding the second layer here, where investors are going to get perked up again because they're not dealing with this issue. I think it's going to demand's just going to keep compounding on itself.
100%.
So one
I
other
agree.
thing, Blackstone, there's this entity called Invitation Homes who I used to work for.
Yeah.
And I like keep an eye on what they're up to. And they just announced that, so these investors, there's so little home assets for them to purchase to yield, that what they're thinking now is, they bought over like 120,000 single family rentals, rent them out and collateralize them. Now they're like, well, we can't get enough rentals, so we're going to partner with a builder and build whole subdivisions of rental homes, single family rental homes.
Who said this?
It's Invitation Homes. It's a joint entity with Blackstone, the hedge fund. So then what's going to happen then is that in prime metropolitan areas like Las Vegas, Phoenix, or up and coming metropolitan areas,
right,
the hedge funds are going to compete with the builders to buy land, and they're just going to knock out rentals. And so Wall Street is betting all in that the future in America is Americans renting. Like, they're going all in on it. And what's happening is they're getting the bottom 2 or 3 rungs of the ladder. The best product is going to be like hedge fund rentals.
Yeah.
And then people are going to gravitate. The hedge funds are betting that people are going to gravitate towards them, and they're going to get a jolly good yield out of it. And that's going to make it harder for first-time home buyers and for people to move around.
So the hedge funds have the money to come in and say, we're just going to create our own market for it then.
And they
can't find it.
The other
and they can, dude.
The other thing,
I was
Vegas,
got millions and millions
dude,
of assets.
in 2013, Kevin and I sold, 300 or 400?
Yeah.
To hedge funds, dude. 400 short sales in 1 year to hedge fund.
Yeah. Yeah,
and dude, Las Vegas was one of like 10 cities.
But the other thing with Vegas,
what were you saying, Matt?
Vegas is different because all the tech companies, the real estate tech companies, and the hedge funds, Vegas is a great market to test products or like strategies.
Sure.
Because it's a small enclosed microcosm, and you can see everything, and it's like one block of island of activity. So companies can focus on it and test things and see what happens. But like in our market, because there's so many hedge funds here and so much interest, like from Zillow that flips about 1,000 homes a year here, and like, so because we have this attention, there's not going to be another crash, because if anything starts to change in the market, these hedge funds will take advantage of it right away.
Unless your Bitcoin bubble causes a crash.
Or,
How's a Bitcoin bubble going to cause a crash? 5% of the world is included in Bitcoin. 5% of the world. That's not going to crash anything.
And I'm just, that's a good point. That's a good point. So
Not yet,
as
anyways.
long as it doesn't go to 10,
Which is
20,
my point of why
30,
you should get
40,
into it. Because if it's this price now and only 5% of the world is, think about when 30% of the world's in
and
it.
that is a good point. If you want to ride the bubble, but I don't buy the stuff with the. Anyhow,
I
get
buy and
sidetracked.
hold, dude. I don't trade. I'm the worst trader in the world.
Well, let's go
Yeah.
back.
I found out.
Let's talk about what Matt was
Buy
saying.
and hold.
Let's talk about what Matt was saying. So Matt was saying that we had a lot of investors, right, that are willing to come in and buy those homes. And we saw this thing. Maybe they learned something from when the crash back in the mid-2000s.
They didn't learn something. They invented the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's when they started it.
Invented what? The hedge fund?
No, they invented they didn't invent. They started setting up the architecture to swoop up homes for a high yield, where they can borrow money for like 1%.
So here's the thing.
All the architecture's there. All these hedge funds are managing like hundreds of thousands of homes, and so now if an opportunity pops up from the market or a change, those hedge funds are there to pull a lever to like put the cash cannon on and suck up the homes.
And what do you mean if a house pops up?
Like when I say like if there's a decline in the market or something negative happens to the market,
Right.
the hedge funds will put the gas on and that will fix the market.
So basically,
Buy up.
Buy
So
up.
basically,
And
right,
then,
right.
and then it'll be
demand.
harder to buy your
Before
first
the
home.
last housing crash, hedge funds
Weren't
had
into it.
never gone into the housing market.
was mom and
It's
pop
just
investors.
something that they didn't do. The market crashed, and I can tell you this: that Invitation Homes.
Yeah.
By the time the rest of the country said, "Oh, Las Vegas and Phoenix and whatnot has hit rock bottom and prices started to go back up," before the rest of the investors from around the world started
Right.
flooding back into the market, Invitation Homes had already had their
They bought-
2,000 homes and were out the door
No,
back
right.
to New York.
So the takeaway here, then,
Yeah,
if I'm hearing you guys
takeaway,
right,
takeaway.
I want to make sure I'm hearing you guys right. That when you had 08 or another big crash, right, what happens is you get up one day, you check out what your appraised value on your house is. It's the biggest asset you own, and it's going like boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
And it's happening to everybody at the same time.
Yes.
So you go sell,
Yes.
so you have no.
They were
nothing-
leveraged upside
Right.
down.
But
Yes.
with these hedge funds, what you're saying is when that starts to happen, they're looking at the opportunity
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
buy
Start
up the
buying.
inventory.
And the first time they did that
Stop
was
the
the
fall.
was the last housing crash,
If
and,
it happens.
they invented the system, so now they have a system down
Right.
to when it happens again. Is what we're
because the
saying.
riches always take advantage of crashes.
Absolutely,
Yeah, exactly. But-
Yeah.
100%.
But the thing is, they can't acquire more assets.
That's
because
how the rich get richer.
companies need to show
You
growth.
got it.
Companies need to show
101,
growth.
kids.
So that's why they're now building new homes and having them as rentals.
Who's
because
building new homes?
the
Hedge funds?
The hedge funds,
Because they
dude,
can't
they've got
find
billions
enough.
and billions and billions. They'll create the market. They don't give a.
So anyway, it's
So-
so interesting. So
So is that good? I mean, for
it's
society.
not good for homeowners.
Yeah, but for societies, because that
They're betting everyone's
Probably
going to be
not.
weaning off the teat.
right? Does that
Is
keep,
what they're betting on.
Does that keep your cost of living lower? To be in a house.
I don't know,
No,
man.
whether
Hasn't
you own it or
happened.
not.
I mean,
Maybe
we'll find out.
Maybe
I don't
That's
know.
the
what
question.
what it does inhibit is it inhibits people to develop their own like equity or wealth building from
Right.
using a low rate mortgage.
100%. And I'm going to say this too: is you look at what's going on with investors buying these homes, over 3,000 homes. It's up. I believe it was up over 200%, 279% from last year. As
What
far
was?
as, home buying from investors? And that's what. So you're saying, well, what are they doing with it? Are they going to buy to flip it? Or are they going to buy
No,
to
they're
hold the
not.
rent? Go ahead, Matt.
For renting. Okay, so in Las Vegas, you've got like a seasoned, maybe there's like a dozen or 20 flippers that are consistent, and the flippers you should look out for are the ones that have been doing it for like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
They just do it.
Yeah.
So flipping's harder in town. It's harder, but it's possible.
What makes that harder? Just curious.
So
Competition.
So you've got to source your own deals, which means that you've got to do direct marketing to people that have homes that are inherited, they're divorced.
It's
they're
basically like a
dying.
realtor. First come, whoever
But-
gets to
but-
that client first
so-
will usually get their business.
Yeah, so then what the flipper does is they, give them some cash and they know that there's a spread and they can sell the home on the open market for top dollar.
Sure.
Now, these hedge funds are buying mostly as rental. Like flipping's harder,
Yeah.
but the publicly traded hedge funds are their cost of money is so low
Yeah.
that they can make money. They can make money
More long term.
Yeah.
Well-
so let me give you an example. I have an investor that has that if I went to go to a listing or something like that and their AC was completely broke and it had to be cash or whatever it was, I have and the long and short of it is they had OfferPad come over and OfferPad said, here's what we'll give you on your condo, cash, after whatever it is. I sent it over to my investor, and he basically was like, I can't beat this.
Yeah.
That was never possible. 3 years ago, the whole thing was that OfferPad would come in 20% low, 25% low below market value. Now, they're coming in, they're making such a minimal margin that regular investors are like, it's not really worth my time because they were going to make like $5,000 on it. Why would you go through that work for $5,000?
That's the definition of hedge right there.
Yeah, but if you, absolutely.
So let me ask you the question then, Brett. What do you think? Because we talk about all the time, the housing market's going up, right? Do we buy? Do you sell? Whatever. But what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound very likely at all that this market's going to go down anywhere in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, I would say the sad thing is
just the fact that we're getting filled like Southern California.
Yeah.
That alone. And now take into other factors, but I think more importantly, it's just the demand of it.
Yeah.
I think it's changed
And I don't see
now.
that slowing.
No. And then the sad thing is that affordability is going to go away for some people.
Right.
And people, it always happens in different markets.
Yeah.
People are like, we need affordable homes, we need affordability, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, you know, people, the sooner that you as an individual take accountability for like getting yourself a home if you want to, you got to get on with it, because I think affordability is going away in Las Vegas.
Well, there was a news article that came out that was saying that investors are buying these homes. Why? Because they want to guarantee that they get paid with rent. And they're starting to see that people are willing to rent, and because of the competition right now, that they're going to get those rents and there's not going to be any problems. Because, you know, like,
dude, if you know what's tougher than the housing market here right now to buy a house? Renting.
Yeah, it's really horrible. And then also,
You know?
I've heard the stories that like rents are going up when leases are being renewed.
Yeah.
Rents are going up $300 a
Yeah.
month. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
100%.
seeing a lot of these problems start to come full circle, where you see a lot of these people that are trying to buy a home. The buyers out there, the home buyers that are looking to buy, especially locally, they're kind of being pushed out. And I think it's because investors are coming in, even with the opportunities, they're buying up as much as they can. And it's kind of interesting to see what's going to happen. I know that, you know, if you're going to outbid a home or outbid on a property, if you go over list, you're probably going to get that house.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody out there that's just, you know, you don't have a ton of money, you can't go over list, unfortunately, an investor may come in and swoop that up.
Yeah, the other thing is, I mean, who knows? It's just speculatory. But like, if there is another lockdown or something, then what's that going to do for underwriting for people to get mortgages?
Yeah.
It's going to be horrible again.
Yeah, it's going to be real bad.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not going to be any fun.
Balancing all that together. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we had COVID aside, however that shakes out. You don't if you want to live in LA, you rent, right?
Yeah, you got to. And that's,
You're absolutely
it's
right.
just changing. It's changing it's going to change for Vegas.
So
It's
if you
changing
agree,
now.
so if you have the theory that I do, which is we're going to be, and we are, the new Southern California, and you subscribe to that same theory, and most people rent in LA.
Yeah. Well, you point to the new Southern.
You know?
I grew up in Northern Nevada,
Yeah.
and even then, I always kind of looked at Vegas, LA, San Diego, kind of like as the southern region. Like,
Yeah,
all
so
kinda
here's the
connected.
thing. With the mistake I made is, so I'm from Wisconsin originally. I first moved out here, and I thought like Vegas and LA was the same thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
California will be the first to tell you, and Vegas will be the first to tell you, no, bro. We're not Southern California. Don't be saying that to us. And Southern California people are like, don't be saying we're Vegas.
Don't get me wrong, it's completely
like,
different.
but in the Midwest, the West Coast is the West Coast. Like, it's the same.
But the point is, you've got a huge population within that triangle.
yeah, huge.
Right.
I mean, massive, without a doubt. And that's what I'm saying.
Bigger
is
than
even
most
if-
countries.
Even if you,
going on.
I mean, what? California's economy could be like the 8th richest country.
I think it's like
I
the
think
second,
it is.
second or
Okay,
third or
third,
something.
yeah. So even if you take
And
15% of those
and
people and
they're
move them over here,
throwing
man.
people out. All right, my wife's from California. I am not. I'm Nevadan, but she's from
Nevadan.
She's from yeah. If you want to know true Americans, sir.
and your two
Get-
attorneys,
get
I
the
can see
right
those
shirt.
conversations at home, anyways.
Yeah,
I
no.
object.
Get the right shirt.
It's
Can I
nothing
press
like
the
that.
button? It's nothing like that.
But she was. I met her down here. I think she moved here in 14 or 13.
Uh-huh.
And she had a house before that she sold when we got together or whatever
Here?
in Vegas.
Okay.
Right. This year, California sent her an income tax bill for like $15,000, saying she sold property in California. Somehow confusing this Vegas house.
With one in Cali?
Yeah, so she calls them up, and you think like, dude, I haven't lived in California for 10 years. I didn't work there. and they're like, oh, well, file all this paperwork, protest paperwork, and then we'll like set up a case. Otherwise, we're sending you to collections. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are
it's
you
outrageous.
kidding me?
That's why people are moving
Because
out of
they're
California.
out of money.
Dude.
Yeah.
So I have a client.
That's why people are moving out of California.
Yeah, and she says we should go back north. I'm like,
So I have a-
crazy.
I-
Can't even close to that
Next stop,
stuff.
Wyoming.
Yeah,
for me.
exactly.
I got a
Next
new
stop,
client
Wyoming, dude.
this week. So I had a client just when the COVID hit. I got a client and he needed to buy a house for tax reasons, and he's a professional sports bettor and does really well. Like he's a young guy, and he pays a lot of taxes in California.
Yeah.
And then he called me up this week and was like, Matt, I got to get the high-rise condo like this year. Like I have to before the end of the tax year.
Yeah.
Because he's getting clobbered by California, and he needs,
It's insane.
he's getting absolutely
It's literally
clobbered.
insane.
You know, so he's doing
Dude,
that.
we don't even have to do anything to get them to come here. We just need to let California keep being California.
And I think I guess
You think
people,
about it, we win by default.
I guess people are used to like, oh, I don't have any savings because it's natural to give $80,000 in taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
crazy.
anyhow, we got something to say? Sorry,
No,
Dan.
no. If you guys, this is the French
Come to
Workbench
Nevada.
podcast. I was just gonna say, you guys
You
Nevada.
capitalistic pig.
hit that
I'm
like,
Dan Foy pissed.
right. Hit
You
that
know,
like
that's-
button. If you guys got comments, we got a lot of comments coming in. Also, subscribe to the channel, guys. Thank you so much for the support. We've been getting a lot of support recently, so I want to say everybody out there that's put out comments, that's hitting the like button and helping support the channel. We appreciate you guys, everybody out there. So going back to it, you look at investors. Investors are looking for that strong return. They made up on the second quarter. They made up 22.8% of all purchases here in
Man.
Las Vegas. So
Can I ask you this? What was you have an average of a purchase price that they were paying?
No, I don't. But I don't. But they're snatching up a lot of townhomes, condos. Lower price
Condos
points.
and see that used to be the one thing that investors wanted to stay away from because you had the HOAs and all that.
Yeah, but you got
know.
guaranteed rents now. It seems like because
Yeah.
people know, first off, people are going to start being evicted, but they weren't being evicted recently. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with how all that unfolds.
So we have a good friend of mine. I'll get her on here one day. She's a property manager. And
Okay.
then now for rentals, she won't look at any application. She'll tell them up front, I won't look at your application unless everyone's over 700 and you don't have any pets.
Yeah.
And you have or a small service dog. And
Yeah.
landlords have the power to be picky. And
continue.
so they have the ability to be picky. So she didn't really have much problem. And then she would also like select tenants that weren't like all in the casino, like they would be split up. So she didn't have a problem. But why I'm saying this is for these people that are getting the boot out from where they're at, they're going to be in a tricky situation because they've not been
Yeah.
paying,
Well,
but they won't have their credit affected
and to your point,
by
to
the
her-
landlord.
To her, I mean, when I've dealt with a few clients on this,
Yeah.
like advising them, and I'm like, basically, the law allows you to get first and month's last rent up front, right? Plus first.
Yeah.
It allows you whatever the security deposit is, which is not more than 2 months of rent.
Yeah.
I'm like, get
Usually 1 month.
all of that in your bank account.
Yeah.
You check the credit score. You check references because you're not in a picky situation. They are.
Yeah.
And if the government's not going to allow you to evict, which is your only remedy.
Yeah, yeah.
when
Or
somebody-
just what's my rent? Here's a full year in cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that. You can't do
can't.
that. No.
Why?
Well, do you know what?
Because the
Really?
NRS Nevada Rights Statute doesn't allow it.
Doesn't allow you to pay a year in advance.
You can only get
How far? How
first,
much?
first and end, right?
But what if you, as a tenant, volunteer to do that?
Oh yeah, they volunteer. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine if they
So that's what
want
I'm
to do
saying.
it. Well, what you can't
if
say
you want
is
to get
like,
it, you're a tenant.
you can't demand it as far.
I
as
know,
that.
but I'm saying if you're
If
a
you want a
tenant,
competition
and you want to
situation,
be,
yeah.
you want to be, and you don't want to worry about your
Yeah.
credit score.
Well, you could do a year
Boom.
lease.
Yeah. Here's
Another
a
way
year
you could
lease.
think
Here's
about it
cash for a
too
year.
is you could just, if you were, because people think investment, they always want to do if they have investment property to rent it out to tenants.
Yeah.
But you can also do something like if I have clean title of the property, right? Assuming you do, or worked out of the bank, you can be like, look, I'm going to sell you a 3-year, like, life is, it's not called life stay. I'm forgetting the right term for it. Basically, I'm selling you my right to use the property for 3 years. It's kind of like rent, but it's different. 3, 2, 5, whatever. You do it as a deed, not as a rent, and it should keep you out of the rental laws in that situation because you're basically
Interesting.
splitting up your deeds. Now, the person that comes in and buys like that kind of deal, they would still. You don't have much control of the property, right? Because basically you're selling your interest, but by a law they can't do anything that's going to cause like excessive damage
to-
or-
okay.
because you have future interest back.
Gotcha,
But it's a way of
gotcha.
parsing out. You don't have to act like the landlord.
Dude,
Right.
that's kind of smart as hell when you do that with
Yeah.
tokenization.
And somebody would be interested in it too, because if you're talking about housing prices going up, you kind of lock in your rate at that point.
Well, you look at some of these renters out there. I'm sure you look at that they were maybe going month to month. Maybe they weren't going all in where they're saying, well, I'm going to see what the market's going to do. Now, I'm sure you have landlords going, you know what? Now's the time to strike where we're going to send you a new lease. And we know that there's nothing out there to rent. So if you're looking month to month and you just wanted to go, there's a lot of renters that probably do that. They exceed their time period. Then they're on a month to month every time they. So now they're looking at it going, well, if I send them this lease and I increase rents, chances are they're going to sign that lease.
Probably.
And chances are I'm going to be able to get that money, that extra money that's there, because they know the scarcity of rental properties is just out there right now.
With the eviction, right? That's what you're talking about. With the
I'm
ability
talking
to evict.
I'm talking about all of it, encompassing all of it. Meaning with the eviction coming up, the eviction moratorium
I
now.
just missed what you said in the beginning. Sorry. I was trying to follow.
Well, no, what I'm saying is people are going to probably be willing to go 2 feet in if they were a month to month, or if they were kind of considering maybe not renting or buying, or let's say that they don't really know what their plan is. They may say, you know what, go ahead and send me that lease. I'll sign another year. And additional to that, I will also pay whatever increase in rents you have, because we know if I go out and start looking for a house to rent, there's nothing out there.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Well,
they're in the
listen,
driver's
if
seat.
you're a good tenant and you're quiet and don't cause any problems and pay your rent in time, they're going to offer to renew it to you first. They may say, hey, we want to increase it, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But they should probably...
Yeah,
I
but
mean, it
there's
would probably
people-
be in their best interest to at
Right.
least offer to somebody they know is a good tenant already and pays on time.
Yeah, they're already doing that though. It's when they have to replace it.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
got like
yeah,
a
yeah.
big condo. You always
Yeah,
have
no,
that.
you're right, yeah. No.
I just think that there's an opportunity where if you can strike like these landlords are doing, the eviction moratorium's just ended. So now it's like, you know what? Now you're going to probably start to see people really get back into a lease that maybe was on a month to month, is all I'm saying. Because people don't want to feel obligated. And now I feel...
I don't think they're going to be able to find that. So you can wish that all you want. And it
What, a
would
month to month option?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, don't they use-
anything that I see that's short-term rental
Well, if you're a good
is
re-
usually double the rent price
Yeah.
of what it normally is.
Yeah.
And good luck
Yeah,
finding
actually,
them.
there's
Like, you
hardly
know
any
that.
short-term rentals.
We
right
we
now.
have buyers all the time that are waiting
Yeah.
for their new home to be built, and they can't find literally squat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's what I'm saying is they know
Or
that
you're
there's
paying
nothing
yeah.
out there for options. These investors know that buying these homes, that's an opportunity. Plus,
Sure, but what I'm saying is those month-to-months are almost double what a normal lease would be, though. So,
but
yeah, I mean, you
yeah.
can do that, but if you want to pay double,
Legally,
go
when
for
you
it.
go on a month to month or whatever,
You know, it's profitable for the landlord.
that means every month they have the ability to give them 2 months notice that you're raising the prices.
so let's go talk about something else. We're gonna look at is this a normal housing market right now? And we know that there's
No.
Matt's gonna give us a little bit of rundown. I don't, you can go in depth, Matt, but you're pretty,
I know.
you can take
I
a
was
look.
What
just
is
gonna say that
normal?
There's,
Go ahead, Matt.
there's like 3,100 homes
Okay.
on the market.
3,100 homes on the market.
It's been creeping up slightly.
Okay.
In terms of like activity, things, I mean, it's changed a little bit over the past 2 months. Where,
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
You said 3,100 homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it on this chart, or is it just?
no,
did you just
I
know?
don't have.
The
I
data?
need access to your keypad to get in there.
Okay.
But like the thing is what I would say. Yes.
Tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it for you. Go ahead.
No. So, hang on. Let's go on here. So if you look here, so far this year, this is the beginning of the year. The
Yeah.
median house price was 330,
Yeah.
and it's gone up 14% up to 355.
Okay.
Which is a monster jump so far this year. It's gone up. The
No,
median home price
is that
has gone up
encompassing
14.5%?
That's including
all the homes.
All the homes.
All the
That's
homes.
condos,
No, all the single family homes.
single family homes. Okay.
Yeah. So if we go on the condos, like let's go to townhouses. So townhouses have gone up this year. The median price was 236,000, and now it's gone up to 248, which is up 10%. Which goes like normally investors and people want a single family home because the HOA is lower,
Right.
and they own like that parcel, and it's not split between a community.
Right.
But as 14.5% increase in homes so far this year is a significant jump.
Yeah, it's a significant jump.
Now I think if it, my hunch is it's slowed up a bit.
Yeah.
But in terms of when I say slowed up, it's slowed up from being white hot, and now it's just like really hot.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we've been saying for months that there's not going to be some huge crash. It'll just might calm down a little.
Look,
But,
hold on
this,
one
is,
second.
but this is the
I got
new
a question.
normal.
I got a question. What you just said. You said how many houses are on the market today? 3,100.
Yeah.
Does that include the townhouses and the?
No, that's just so that okay. So let's get
That's
into
single
it.
family.
Yeah. So hang on a sec. Closed sales so far this year.
Pay my bill tab up there, Dan.
right?
Dan's got to pay his bills.
Yeah. How many closed sell this year? Is that on 3 years? Can you just get
That's
a 1
the
year?
entire MLS. It's 38,000.
Can you just get a 1 year?
Yeah.
So look at mid 2020 to now.
So that's
Look at that bad boy
38,000
go
for
up.
the year. But then if we go, we can go back to
38,000 sold for the year.
Yes.
Okay. Of that 38,000, you guys are saying 3,000 was hedge funds in the last quarter.
The second quarter.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a
so
significant
a
amount.
big chunk going
Yeah,
on.
it's a
Big chunk.
Yeah.
Big
It's a
chunk.
big chunk.
That's
And
what, 10%.
Well, as Brett, as you're saying, as we go from white hot to really hot,
Yeah. So
That's gonna be more enticing for them to buy more,
What's really
right?
hot? Really hot is
Yeah,
homes-
that's what I'm
homes
saying. So
going
any
into-
decrease that happens is for
really
price
hot,
is going to
really
be.
hot is homes going to contract in 2
Dude, I'm
weeks
telling these hedge
instead
funds,
of 5 days.
They don't around, dude.
You know?
I mean,
So-
they've got a system in place they figured out 10 years ago, and they're
But
just
the thing
been
is,
getting better at it. People don't realize, dude.
I would hope over the next 60 days we may have a slight increase in supply, but we'll see what.
well, they're building
happens.
again.
No, not the building. I'm talking about like releasing homes that should have been sold because of a tenant issue. Or
Oh, you're right.
That sort of
But that's
thing.
still going to take. I mean, I was just looking on the news here. And
Also, another thing that may free up some homes is if some people haven't figured out and they are still in forbearance, which is pretty slack on their behalf because they've had like a year and a half, 2 years to sort out some income.
Well, I got a question on that too. Maybe you guys can answer. Is what if you have these landlords that actually were making an arrangement if they did have a mortgage on their current investment property that they made arrangements? Is there arrangements made for investment properties to put themselves on
sure.
forbearance? So are they really going to be in the same position where they're behind on their mortgage? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Well, hold on.
They'll
Say it
refi.
one more time. Mortgage or rent? Sorry.
Mortgage. Because if you're
How do I get in this thing?
The
He's got too many things going on in his life, man.
I know.
the mortgage part of it.
Focus.
Renaissance man. Continue.
No. Renaissance man.
Plethora of thoughts.
So it's more of like, is the landlords taking advantage of things that if they have investment properties or even people that have second homes, are they able to put themselves in a position where they made arrangements with their own servicer or investor to not have to worry about having, the foreclosure process? We know that foreclosure process is not going to just happen right away, where if it does happen.
Well, right. That's the point I was about to make.
Yeah, it's going to take time. You got to go through the judicial part of it and
Right.
go
And
through
I could get into those boring details, but
it's not going to be
I
like
can
next month there all these
stall
properties
things.
are going to be there because
So, hold on.
I can just with mortgages alone before 2019 or even evictions a little more difficult because they happen more often.
Sure.
But if you have a mortgage, look, there was this case, guy had a house in Lake Tahoe, right? And I kind of took over this case or whatever. Lake Tahoe, bought it in 2008. If you guys been to Lake Tahoe, very nice.
Yeah, very
on the
nice
beach.
area. Yeah.
He didn't pay a single mortgage payment for over 10 years.
Wow.
And then he got into a mediation, settled again. 10 years he was living in this house before he finally had to pay something in settlement. The point is, things can get stalled, right? But
Point being is. No kidding, man. Wow.
And then another interesting point you brought up, Dan, as far as like the process, we were talking about hedge funds coming in, right?
Yeah.
They're releasing this stay in evictions. If you notice, like I've told you about the client I've had, single clients, it's kind of a pain when you have one or two houses that you're managing on your own and you're trying to evict because it's a legal process you have to, and they don't like you, the bad guy,
Sure.
right? Hedge fund organized and know what they're doing. So they could come to you and say, look, you got this tenant in here. You don't like dealing with this property. I'll just gobble it up and I'll get,
Then they'll
buy
stick
it.
that
Then they'll be
in-house
like,
counsel
see ya.
on it.
See ya. Here
They'll
comes our
stick that
team.
in-
Dude,
in-house-
you want to know how the hedge funds got all of the business back in 2013? They came to all the top listing agents for the short sales in every single city.
Right.
And they said, we'll take anything built in this year on up, which was like a 30-year period.
Right.
We'll pay cash, no home inspection, or I should say their home inspection consisted of coming in and measuring for carpet and paint. and you want to have an attorney do the short sale, do the actual work for
Yeah,
it, that
that's
costs
my point.
$3,500. We'll pay for the attorney. We'll pay, dude. And it was
And
like,
they're
and
streamlined.
you as a
Can I tell you a
listing agent,
story?
and you as a listing agent, how about you guys write the offer for us so you guys are
Can I-
double ending
can
it
I-
as the agent?
Yeah.
Right.
Guess who the first investor was you turned to?
Yeah, can I tell you a story?
Right.
Is I started that, and then
He did. In fact, I was talking to Dan French today, and Dan French goes, "How'd you meet Matt?" I go, "One day I'm in my office, and someone goes, there's a guy sitting out in your lobby waiting for you."
yeah, I just
Matt
fucking-
Shields.
I
Invitation
I
owns.
ninja kicked all the office doors. And so let me
I was
tell
like,
you,
"Who's this
let
guy?"
me tell you a story about that. So
Hey,
this-
were you wearing your cowboy hat when you rolled
I
in?
was, I was
Dude, I'm
sit-
talking
I'm like, who the hell is this guy sitting in my lobby?
No, I used to wear ties.
He was
then.
at Blackstone,
And
dude.
So then there was this one really big firm that I'm
Yeah.
not going to say, it was an attorney firm and a real estate company.
Yeah.
And then they were like making a ton of money and they had a ton of homes. And so I went to them and they were charging, I would say, look, you can have 6%, and then they charged a 1% fee.
Yeah.
As to like process it, which went to the attorney, and they had tons of escrow junk fees
Yeah.
as well. So they were robbing everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And then I said, we want to look at all your homes first. And they said, well, we can do that for like 2%. If you can do 2% and give them an extra 2% acquisition cost. And then I went back to my boss and I was like, they want 2%. And then he's like, sure, let's do it. But we want all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
Wow.
said,
They
wouldn't-
did.
I said to them, if you could put that in writing, then we'll do it. And they would never put that in writing because
Put
They,
what?
they don't want liability.
that they would charge 2% instead of 1% for a short sale processing fee.
Right.
But we had to look at all the homes first and had first opportunity to buy
I
them.
gotcha.
Yeah, you
But
can't. That's
That was like super crooked.
Yeah,
But-
because
Yeah.
In all kinds of
Because you
ways,
get
it
an
was
advantage
wrong.
then. That's the whole point of the
it
foreclosure.
was wrong all the way through, but it happened.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Either way, the hedge funds have the money and they know what makes people move is they steamroll you with money. Period. And they have the money to do it.
So, I mean, Dan, you've been posing this question for months now. Do you buy or do you not? Right? And it seems like you may be losing the opportunity to buy.
I think
Just
affordability is
period.
going to evaporate.
100%.
And
Saying this is the new normal.
Yeah.
And if you can take
Telling you, man.
advantage of the situation, you should consider buying if you can figure out a plan or need help to make a plan to make it happen. 'Cause
Or-
I don't see it changing.
Or
in the
look
future.
at the other side of the coin. You have to have a place to live. So what's your other alternative?
Well, but
Renting, which is
listen.
even worse.
Let me say this
Yeah.
though. I think a lot of people,
Yeah.
people believe in the crash or they believe in a correction though. And so when you say, do you buy or do you rent? We all can say in Vegas.
So-
let
but
me
that's
say
what-
this:
yeah.
in Vegas, it might be a position where we have to buy, which is fine. But overall, is there other places where it's not the same Vegas market? We can't
I
just
don't know,
say
man. I
Vegas
can
is
only
Not
the
on
same.
the West Coast.
Vegas
not
is
on
not
the
the
West
same.
Coast. West
Yeah.
Coast is kind of the same up and down the West. Well, California, because they want people out of there, so they keep tax prices. But from Seattle down to southern Arizona,
Yeah.
it's the same thing going on because of that main machine that is California that's throwing everybody out.
Yeah.
And that's where they're going.
Yeah, so how do we put a wall? No, I'm just playing. Put a wall. I'm not just playing. Actually, a lot of people from California support us.
Well, this guy's
You know,
trying to
I know,
steal
yeah,
my money.
yeah.
I'm just playing.
Dude, because they get it. I mean, like, listen, dude, they're living in a pretty good place. The weather's beautiful.
I'm from
People are
California.
beautiful. Yeah, you're from California. But, dude, you know, like, when you piss off your own people enough, the people will get to a point where they're like, forget it, dude. I'll just go next door.
Or they don't.
I mean, they're
You
forcing it.
think, but sometimes I think that they don't even realize what's going on.
Yeah.
I think some people, because some people that are native Californians just think that's how it is everywhere. And I'm like,
No,
there is
look,
a
Well,
huge
I mean, you'll have a segment
difference.
of that where people will never
Pay attention.
pay attention to anything outside of where they're at. I mean, people like that in the Midwest.
I just
They-
have conversations with people, and I'm like, "Do you understand? That sounds absurd. Like
Yeah.
I would go crazy." But
Well, look, let's be honest though. Like with all of us here, we're all making money from people from like California. and
Absolutely, man. I won't deny.
So I mean, that's probably a staple where our business is coming from. You got California, East Coast, West Coast, mainly. A lot of out-of-state
so
buyers.
there's so many people like the other day, last week, I went to get a smoothie and meet someone, and then there was a bunch of people talking, and a guy was moving here from Arizona, and he was really fed up with his agent, and he said he was an idiot, and I was just telling about some stuff that
What kind of smoothie did you get?
It was like a healthy protein smoothie.
Blueberry or?
I can't remember. I
Okay.
just just had to feed the machine.
can-
And then, so then what happened
Feed
was
the machine.
exactly. So then, but then
Nom,
I
nom,
got
nom, nom,
I went
nom.
and got a smoothie, and I got an $800,000 buyer, and I'm meeting him tomorrow to look at a home.
Is he from California?
No, he's from Arizona. People are
Arizona.
coming from all over.
See, and that's what I'm saying
You know?
is how many
All
people.
over.
But it does raise the question: if you're already living here in Vegas, and you already have established your family, or let's say
Yeah,
you've
you should
established,
buy a house.
you got to
you gotta have
because
a house.
you're not. Look, you can't sell. Arizona's interesting because Arizona is probably on the same playing field as we are as far as
he-
let me
cost of
put
homes.
let me put this in the context. The one of the owners and the broker of our brokerage basically has made a deal, and he's gone on Facebook and everything publicly and said, "I'm sick of people always saying that we're going to have a crash." And so I did a survey. What does people consider a crash? And they consider home prices going down 25%. And he said, right now, today, in the next 3 to 5 years, if you believe that it's going to crash down to 25%, he goes, I got $10,000 right now. No, was it $25,000?
It was 10
It's
grand for
10
3
grand
years.
for 3 years. And he's basically saying, if it does go down 25% in 3
Yeah,
years,
it'd be
I will
10
give you
grand.
10 grand. But the only way you can participate in this is if you put 10 grand on the table too,
Well,
which means if it doesn't, you lose 10
and
grand.
it's not-
one person.
And it's not going to. And
So
the fact,
put your money where your mouth is.
Well,
when
the
people
fact
say
he's
that.
talking like that, right? And people is more of a single that it's not going to crash than it is. Let me explain.
Yeah.
In 08, you never see the bubble. People get this idea when they're in a bubble that's
Yeah.
proof, and then it's not going to
Yeah,
work.
no, I get it. Believe
People
me, I
are
was-
saying
yeah.
I'm scared because they have PTSD of what happened. Right, is more indication that it's not going to happen because it means more are not participating in a bubble that's not there, except for crypto.
Well,
yeah.
is it go up and down and manipulated? Absolutely,
I
but it's not a
thought
bubble.
when he said that,
A bubble would mean
we
that
have to
it's
get a whole
going
nother
to have an
episode.
end, and it's not going to end.
when he said that,
Just getting
to putting
started.
the 10 grand out, for, like, so I
feel like we should go on
exactly what it was.
Crossfire
is
or something.
I bet 10 grand that the market will
I
not
got
go
the ammo to
down
back it up.
25% in 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And then I thought to myself, well, probably wouldn't take that bet, but I thought about offering, would you take $500 cash up front as an option to activate that bet? Because I wouldn't bet 10 grand, but I would bet $500
Well,
for a laugh.
I mean, it's true, right? No, I mean, it's true.
The 10K upside.
You look at.
But I wouldn't take the 10K bet. I wouldn't take the because I don't believe that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either. That's why no one's taking them up on it.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is. Oh, you won't? That's what I thought.
So they're across the board.
So just a
Everybody's
thought
saying.
you
I didn't. I'm not the one saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not you. I'm just saying. Joe,
Crypto.
I like to look at you.
Across the board, people are saying, or not people, but articles are saying.
I'll show you how to
and
buy
a lot
something
of
for the
people
show.
that actually look at some of this data. They're stating that a lot of these properties that are out there, that the inventory is starting to increase, but it's obviously not increasing here in Vegas. Now, when I was reading was 6.5 months supply is typically something that would be needed for builders to kind of say, okay, well, we're now, we're not going to have that same. Everybody's going to come to us and we're going to get what we want. We're not going to be able to, go over price or over list of what they're current selling the house for. So 6.5 months supply
Of houses, new houses.
of existing homes
Yeah.
will level the playing field against builders, because builders are, you go to a builder today, you can get anything you want, right? I mean, you can, I'm not you as a consumer, the builder can get anything they want. They can. Lot premiums are out of this world right now.
Dude,
you got a lot
they're
of things
stupid.
happening, right? They're over and they're strategically planning out how to invest, or not invest, but get people to invest with them or buying into their homes, because they want to maximize their profits, especially with all these costs and everything going up. They're trying to pass that to the consumer.
Well-
so the question I have is, if you
They're
have
exploiting that.
will we ever have a place where we're going to be at a 6-month supply again here?
At some point in the future.
You think so?
Absolutely,
Yeah, always.
absolutely, man. But I don't think it'll be at the cost of home prices severely going down.
What do you think, Matt?
A 6-month supply.
Because I think that you look at the data, we're still at 1.5, what 1.4 month supply, but we've been like that.
Matt, do you know during the foreclosures what was a month supply on the market? Do you know?
Oh, it was like 9 months.
Was
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, during
So,
the. Yeah.
It was
so
and I think
I think
being-
6 months is a stretch.
But don't you think 6 months is a healthy market? Like
No,
that's
I think that's a little.
No, between 3 to 6 months is
Yeah.
supposed to be
Well,
more
I
of a
think-
balanced market.
I think we.
If you start crossing 6, you're kind of.
Well, we're talking about housing affordability, right? And we're talking about, how we've become in like Southern California. Mm-hmm. The thing about it too, and even Phoenix, I mean, when we're not there, I mean, we will be like that. But you look at those cities, what do? They spilled over the next valley. Spilled over the next valley.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's like, oh, home prices are unaffordable. Home prices are unaffordable.
Because of what? Water?
No, because we're not ready yet. There has to be...
Because of our government.
No, because...
We got to get ready is what I'm saying. Like, go.
What's going to make it ready is that the price of homes are going to increase to a point where people are going to say, I'm going to drive 45 minutes over the valley.
Bullhead
side
City.
Of the valley. Like, people are going to agree to commute based on the affordability of the homes.
Right. Watch, in the next 10 years, Prump quadruples in population.
Yeah.
I called it here first. You heard it here first.
What a great town.
You heard it here first, kids.
Well, there's a bunch of room left in the South, I'd say. South Vegas, kind of.
Oh, Henderson's, it's going to go all the way back up to the mountain around Inspirada.
Yeah.
There's a lot of growth there.
Yeah,
That's going to be the biggest growing zip code in
so we're not at capacity.
No, but
and even
when
we get at capacity, we have other valleys we can spill into.
I think it's going to take about 5 years.
Yeah.
If we continue at this
When you
trajectory.
drive through Phoenix, you go through one valley.
Yeah.
Go up a little hill, go in the next valley. It's kind of like similar to the way this
Yeah.
geography is here. They just kept going.
Yeah.
I think a lot of investors and people in general were banking on having this this moratorium, the foreclosure moratorium, actually take in effect because then they felt that that's going to ease up that market.
Well, let's just get it over with. I mean, how many times can you extend something?
But it's not. It's not though, because the thing is investors or servicers are willing to help with, helping out with some type of either forbearance or that now they're extending the loans. Right? It went from 30 to 40-year loans.
Well, you're talking about homeowners.
Yeah, I mean, because
not renters, not paying.
Well, renters don't own the property.
I know.
They're looking for them to foreclose like they did back in the days.
Yes, but what I'm saying,
mid-2000s.
yeah, exactly.
So they're not going to foreclose though. So I don't know if there's going to be a huge market that's going to say, okay, that's going to contribute for us to have that 6 month or 3 to 6 month supply, like you were saying. I don't know what's going to contribute.
And
to that.
even if there are, there's 10 investors lined up for it.
Yeah,
for each one. So I mean, it's supply and demand. It's really not rocket science, or I wouldn't do it. Trust me.
Matt, you got anything else to say on this housing market?
No, just I mean, if you have an idea you want to buy a home or stop renting, get a plan, and happy to help. A lot of what I do is like problem solving, and planning and giving people goals and making them feel good about renting if they are renting, and they want to buy because they have a plan. And we know everything we got to do, the punch list, to get them the approval to get them a home, the best home possible.
You guys get a lot of clients, and I'm just going to ask you because there's a lot of people that challenge or have questions that challenge maybe what you're saying, like, oh, you know what? I've read this, or I see this, or somebody's told me
I'm
this.
always open to have a conversation, even if somebody calls and says, hey, I kind of agree with you. I'm looking to buy a house. I kind of agree with you, and blah, blah, blah. Here's my issues. I'm willing to always have an open conversation about it.
Yeah, I mean,
I always say this, instead of like trying to argue somebody or combat them with whatever it is, I always say, okay, you said that. What makes you feel what you're saying right now? What facts or do you draw this conclusion to that makes you feel this way?
Right.
And when you kind of work it that way, people don't really have anything based on, well, it's my opinion. And I'm like, well, I do this 7 days a week, so you cannot listen. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to argue with people.
No, I just think that there's some objections.
I'm trying to be informative to what I know based off of my knowledge, man. I mean, you ask me about anything else in this world, I don't know. But you ask me about Las Vegas real estate, what's up?
Yeah. Well, it's a big investment that most people make, the biggest they make in their lifetime. So is that all you get? Like, basically, I mean, people are going to object to you, Matt, but I'm just saying, you for the most part, you're giving them the right information.
No, I mean, the thing is I'm just a conduit of like getting something done. And so I don't have people don't object to me because I'm just giving them information.
Sure.
And they can do what they will. Mm-hmm. And it's whatever they do is what they do. My duty to them is just to show them what's going on specific to their particular life.
Whether you agree or not, it's up to you. We're just providing you the information based on what we know.
Yeah.
Well, you use the word conduit, which I think
Conduit.
best
That's a good
describes a
word.
professional.
Yeah, but
Capacity.
Segue. Okay, conduit.
Representing someone's interest, not yours.
But sadly, most
Fiduciary.
agents don't act as a conduit.
Ooh, got some leak.
Yeah,
Law school right around the corner.
I know. Sign you
Conduit's the highest goal to have. Like agents affect the transaction and how they conduct it and how they perform their role as a conduit. and how hard they represent their
Now
clients.
he's just
You know?
taking victory laps.
Now he's just taking victory laps.
What I'm saying
I
is,
love it.
sadly, that's not the case. Most of the
He's
time,
flexing
that's not
over
the
here
case.
with his words.
And then,
That's like, and then the conduit.
yeah, and then I thought the thing is, my job's very easy. My job's very easy if someone's ill-equipped,
Yeah.
you know, to like
Yeah.
handle the situation.
Yeah.
And then they're fucking dead.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
so-
Oh my God.
That's fun.
That's funny as hell.
If you guys
That's the
haven't hit
fun
that
part.
like button, hit the like button. Send us any
Subscribe.
comments.
Bing, bing.
Subscribe. Matt, or sorry, Brett, do that again.
Bing, bing. Like, bing. Subscribe. Bing.
We appreciate you guys very much. So and also too, like, you know, we really take our jobs very serious. All of us here in this room. I know it sounds, you know, kind of cliche, but we really do.
I know I wear a t-shirt all the time, but I really know what I'm talking about.
Well, listen, we appreciate you guys, and we would love to earn your business. So if somebody's out there looking for real estate or financing, or even an attorney, we'd love to hear from you guys. So please, you know, if you want to put those comments, if somebody comes across this video, because we're here to also, you know, extend our hand as what we do, and you know, we're very appreciative. You know,
yeah.
right?
They'll have a
Exactly.
conversation with anybody about real estate for
Super
free any day of the week.
Yeah.
I love talking about it.
Absolutely. So let's go into this. We're going to talk about money talk because I think a lot of people want to know what's going on, and we're going to just kind of delve from real estate here for a second. And we got Mr. Joe Dragon. He's going to kind of have a conversation here with Brett, and Brett's just going to I'm going to hold that. It's like a vice.
Money. It's a gas.
I'm going to unleash the beast here in a second.
What are we getting into the crypto?
Yeah.
Is that what we're getting into
boy.
right now?
I've been revving for this.
I'll try some.
What's in that? Brett?
Yeah, that's
oh my God, Brett,
Yeah.
you're gonna have a heart attack over here, man.
That's what that bottle says.
Bitcoin. Let me tell you. Let's settle down now.
Oh,
It's
man.
a
All right.
Saturday
So,
morning. We don't need so much energy.
Let's talk about this for
Those
a second.
red lines.
All right. Let's talk about this for a second. What's going on in the cryptocurrency world, Brett? And go.
Well, if you follow crypto, no. If you didn't, well, here's a news flash for you. It went all the way up to 65,000, and then the next 2 months it went all the way back down to like 29,000.
Okay.
Now Bitcoin currently is at like 41 to 42,000. So a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I mean the people that I follow on Twitter, that have huge trading groups and blah, blah, blah. You can believe it or not, but if you use Fibonacci levels and stuff like that, which is we're starting the second leg of the bull run. This one they're anticipating between 100 to 120 grand. Could hit it, could not hit it. It's crypto. At the end of the day, I'm the first to say it gets manipulated at this point. And
Is it considered like a stock though? Because it seems like
that's the question.
somebody comes out and
What
says,
do you mean stock?
Well, he's just
A
like
commodity.
stocks.
I would
a
say,
commodity.
well, it depends. So different coins do different things, and there are different blockchains that do different utilities. But Bitcoin primarily is just like a store of value.
So yeah, what is the underlying reason for creating these currencies? In your words, what is the objective?
That's a good question.
Well, okay, so a lot of these currencies are blockchains that do something, right? They have a utility. Like one is called Link. And what Link essentially does is it takes all the documents that you have, like for your files like, look how many files and documents you have for one case, right?
Right.
So it basically, even if it's stored digitally, what it does is it takes all of that and it's an oracle that puts it in the blockchain.
Right, and
So-
blockchain people are peer-to-peer computers.
in that sense, it's called a coin. But in that sense, it's like a stock because the value of it is increasing based on the demand, based on the use of it, the use case, and all those different things.
Yeah, but why is it not just a highly advanced security software system? Which is a product, right? That's not like
correct. It's well, there's a lot of companies out there that aren't a stock. I mean, they're not like on the publicly traded. So this is basically what people just feel the value of it is right now. I mean, like anything else. I mean, but it's a different market for that.
and you're on top of this all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So,
well, try to be.
Is the goal then still that we're going to have an alternative currency to the U.S. dollar? Oh, the pound. You guys still use pounds?
I think the dollar's.
I believe that in 20, 25 years, the U.S. dollar won't be around, and the world currency will be Bitcoin because it's a standard store of value. Now there needs to be a second layer, which I mean that Bitcoin is not feasible for a lot of payments and a lot of transactions. But look at like gold, right? You don't take a bar of gold and go to the grocery store and buy your groceries. You use your credit card, you use a dollar, you do whatever it is. But gold is like a store of value. But the thing about gold is that more gold can be mined. Bitcoin, there's going to be 21 million that will ever be created. Yeah, but that's
But
it.
hold on a second.
So the scarcity
So
of
you're
it.
talking about. So that is still the goal here. We're going to have alternative currency.
Correct.
In my view, that's exactly why this is a bubble, because I think that is 100% impossible.
Then
that's
you
where
can
the
believe
pull-
that, and I mean
this is why though.
Listen, I don't really have that discussion anymore because now we're talking about fundamentally two different ideas on the viewing of it. And if you have that, I totally respect that. But
we can talk about why, right?
And to be honest with you, the evidence is in your corner right now, so you win right now.
But it's just,
but to me, I just believe
here's
that
why.
with the future and the things that.
Here's why. I don't think it's physically impossible, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted a currency, the currency cannot be moving around like Bitcoin is. We agreed to have a stable currency.
Correct, but you're looking at something that is 5% of the world right now.
Right.
So
that's the problem.
So right now, yes, that's what I'm saying. If you want to talk about the evidence right now, you're right. But
so that's the problem. Hold on.
But to me,
that's the problem. So what would you need? How much percent of the world would you need? You need a lot, right? You need like 30%.
Okay, well then I'll counter that with saying 75% of the world lives in poverty.
Okay,
and they don't have bank accounts.
How about
and
just,
they don't have a store of value. So now you can carry your own store of value that doesn't get manipulated like your nation's currency, and you can carry it in your wallet.
But how about just this
border.
country, right? How about just country? Forget the rest of the world.
America's one small piece.
Right. My point is you'd have to get some big players, some big company players, big S&P 500.
There are.
Dumping a ton of money into it,
You
right?
will.
Here's the problem. Mm-hmm. That would eliminate the need for the Fed, right?
No, the government loses control if they.
The
can't
government
print
is.
currency.
Listen, do you want to know why the price went from 65 down to 29? Because
they're
there's been a
grabbing
bunch.
control.
There's been a bunch of FUD out there that bad news that they're spreading and trying to spread, and things like China shutting down their miners to do, and all these things. But all that, like what I'm trying to say is this: nobody can control it, and nobody can stop it.
But that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree. Nope. Because the U.S. government can control it.
Nope.
Because you said big companies.
They can try.
Big companies have to invest. Would you agree? S&P 500 big mega companies. How easy?
They need to invest to what? To make the price
They need
go
to
up?
start using this digital currency to make it stable.
They'll be forced.
Right?
Sooner or later, they'll be forced.
Who will be forced?
S&P, government, everything. That's what I'm saying.
Why is it?
I believe it's something that you can't stop at this point. So if you believe that, I mean, you can stand in the way. But to me, the most amount of money I've made in my life was being ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
and
but you have to understand we've created a 100-year system where we use the Fed to control and manipulate
nothing
the
like
economy.
Bitcoin has ever, like, that's my whole point, which is I would suggest anybody out there go and read a book called The Bitcoin Standard. And that the whole first half of that book is talk about monetary policy and money since the beginning of time, and how every single civilization has manipulated it. So here's what they do. They bring a currency on and make it stable at first just to manipulate it at the end. The way I look at Bitcoin is it's manipulated at first to be stable at the end.
But the reason for manipulation is so we don't go into a crazy depression, which what would have happened in
that.
08.
And dude, that's a fair argument. At this point, Bitcoin is very, very manipulated, and to be used as the currency around the world would be asinine right now. I agree. But what I'm telling you is we're going there, whether you like it or not.
But see,
within our lifetime.
I disagree because it's not the locomotive.
All it is a switch of belief system.
What happens?
If I was to take a $20 bill and set it right here and a napkin and set it right here, what's the difference? They're two pieces of paper. But why is one worth $20 and one's worth nothing? Because collectively as a whole, we say that this piece of paper is worth $20.
Well, all my experience, your experience in life. Right, you know that. You trust that. You don't trust
what I'm telling you is that belief system is switching by the day, and the whole new generation coming up.
Here's the point. If Congress passes a law, which I think they'll be forced to do, that says if you are in the S&P 500...
They're going to do everything they can to stop it.
You cannot do this.
They're going to do everything they can to stop it.
Who is?
But it's
the government.
But it's speculation.
But I'm telling you, it's run by the people, and you can't stop the will of the people, period.
Well...
it's not going to happen overnight, and there's a lot of things wrong with it.
I got a question.
We're getting a lot of stuff.
Sure.
I got a question. What happens if we lose power? and we
discussed that. We discussed
what's going to happen though.
So yeah, we discussed that the other day on the phone.
Then you can't get access to
I said
any of your coins or any of your
fair enough.
cryptocurrency.
That's the one. That's the one argument that I've asked. I mean, I even know somebody who sits on the Bitcoin.
Well, you can't do that with the bank either.
Dude, I even know somebody who sits on the
That
Bitcoin
happened before.
council. Like, he has a say in what happens with Bitcoin. Right?
Isn't there
and I
a
can tell
weapon?
you that all these people, I asked them this question, and it's the same answer, which is I go, so Bitcoins run on a power grid. Now, what happens if that power grid you're in gets shut down? How do you access your Bitcoin? And they're like, you're effed.
Yeah.
So legit.
In your
that's what I'm talking
That's
about.
a legit
that's what I'm
argument,
talking
dude.
about.
That's
Yeah.
the one and
But
only fallacy.
In your defense, it still
mistake that I see.
doesn't change the fact this isn't going to be all. But in your defense, that happened exactly with the U.S. dollar, right?
Yes.
We put our money in the bank. That doesn't exist.
But
Exists
that-
on a grid. Exists on
That's
paper.
exactly what I'm saying. So then, at the end of the day, it all comes down to gold, and we went off the gold standard years ago.
Yes.
So now you're even opening the
But
wormhole even more,
but
man.
with the history there,
I mean, even strengthening my argument.
that Great Depression wasn't all that great,
Yeah.
right? Gold standard. That's what shifted us to Keynesian economic theory.
Okay.
to
Well,
avoid those
Keynesian
sorts of-
economic theory is a joke, and it's
Why is- but why-
you can
it
tell,
works. It
dude,
works.
dude, because it's based on falsehoods.
Hey guys,
Bitcoin is
we
based
gotta
on
get into
scarcity.
the whole
Dude,
thing.
read the Bitcoin standard. I'm just
All right.
Scarcity
Hey,
applies to any commodity, not. All right,
Dude,
I just wanted an update.
we got into
I
it.
love it though, man. Dude, I love
Hey,
it.
if I'm wrong 30 years, I will bow
Dude,
down to
but
like.
fair enough. Everything that he's talking about is fair enough, man.
I
know?
unleashed the beast. So
You believe in the end game of it, or you don't. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Guys.
And at this point, it serves you more correctly
we're
than
gonna
me.
end the
I
show,
admit it,
guys.
you know?
Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the French Workbench Podcast.
Don't open that can of worms, damn you. You know.
I thought it was gonna be a polite conversation.
Dude, it was. Dude, I'm not mad. It was polite.
It was
talking about-
aggressively polite.
It was. I was just
Yeah.
getting an update, but it's all
Yeah.
good. You guys have your opinions, but listen, that's why we love the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys tune
Stay off,
in.
stay
next
off the
time.
red line,
human.
maybe. Just stay
On
off the red
Tuesday,
line. That's gonna give you a heart attack.
We'll be here on Tuesday. We're gonna have somebody from the Water District here.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so we want to
Government
talk about
I
that.
want to be here on
Yeah,
Tuesday.
if you want to be on
Good.
Tuesday, you
Yeah,
want to be
yeah.
here.
Should I
Okay.
be
The
in
Water
suit?
Authority.
Perfect. Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
have somebody from the Water
Cool.
Authority. So Matt's gonna be here.
Yeah.
You guys,
I
please,
wanna
thank you
talk to
so
that
much.
guy.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys at the next stream. Talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching an episode of the French Workbench Podcast. If you want to tune into past episodes, please subscribe to my channel now. Also, if you want to look at our audio-only options, we do have iTunes and SoundCloud.